Child programming. As an introduction to this section, we are going to ask you to do a little experiment. Close your eyes and think about yourself as a small child. Remember, we think better with our eyes closed. What event stands out in your mind? Note the first thought that comes to mind of something you experienced as a small child. It will be something very sad, very happy, very exciting, or traumatic. The very emotional things are impressed most deeply in the subconscious and are the ones most easily recalled. They form our root beliefs and are the basis for our thoughts and actions in adult life. What we think and how we act in it is a direct result of past programming. From birth to age 4, a child receives 50% of his programming. From age 5 to 8, 30%. From 9 to about 18, another 15%. That 95% is done by parents, guardians, and teachers. That leaves just 5% of a person's ideas, philosophy, and lifestyle of his own design. Think back to the person to whom you were closest for the first 3 or 4 years of your life. Usually this is the mother, but not always. Think carefully and see if perhaps you can see yourself as a carbon copy of that person. Not physically, but in your thoughts and actions. Children come into the world empty-headed and open-minded, so to speak. A new brain is like a sponge and will absorb everything fed to it, whether it is good or bad. The adults feed in the program for life, and what is fed in will come out. So if the early years of a child's life are spent in a negative atmosphere, for example, where there was lying, cheating, stealing, neglect, or abuse, the child will have a sound foundation for a life of crime. A sign in front of a church in Hamilton, Ontario, summed it up beautifully. It read, "The cure for crime is not in the electric chair, but in the high chair." The early training a child receives is very deeply embedded in the subconscious, and all our conscious acts are wholly controlled by the subconscious. How many times have we learned statements like, "I don't know what made me do it"? The older we get, the more difficult it is to delete or change this computer programming. Children bring with them a well-developed sense of intuition and creativity. Unfortunately, it is usually discouraged while they are still very young. As preamble to the next set of facts, we have a little exercise to test your imagination. Use a separate piece of paper if you wish, so that you may have the square larger and perhaps have a few tries at it. Put down 9 dots as below in the form of a square. Now draw in 4 straight lines without lifting your pencil from the paper. Go through every dot once. Do not touch any dot more than once. The solution to this is included in the exercises on page 87. But be honest with yourself and give it a good try before you peek. It is a good means of learning a little about yourself, so we hope that you will go along with it before reading on. We presume now that you have either solved the puzzle or looked for the solution. We tend to suppress the imagination of our children. We teach them to think in exact terms. We put limits and boundaries on everything For example, when a child uses a coloring book and crayons, we teach him that it is proper to stay within the lines. We keep stressing limits. Stay within the lines. Stay within the boundaries. Do not use your own ideas. Conform to the ideas of the authors. The side of us that we project to the world is a movie film of our child programming. We wear many masks. We seldom show our true inner self. Earlier we wrote of the four sides of man, which include perfect self-expression, developing the potential of our inner values. What the world sees is our behavior, which is the result of our attitude, which itself is based on our programming, which either discouraged our inner values or occasionally allowed them freedom to grow. The many tasks that we show the outside world. The more submissive our nature and the more submissive our programming, the less likely we are to know our own potential and capabilities. Any intuition or inspiration we may have had has been pushed back into the subconscious so many times when we were young that as adults we are no longer aware of them. Instead, there could be a void, a feeling of resentment, of always searching for the right niche in life, and a sense of imbalance prevails.